What's up, guys? It's Gage, also known as Vast here. Today, I'm here with Vinny Carlson after his fight on Breakout '08 Wrath of the Dragon against CRISCI. We're about a week after, actually a week after the fight period when we're recording this. Vinny, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit, talk to some other guys too, kind of like post-fight thoughts, how your fight went, what's next for you, and all that stuff. So let's get right in it, man. So, like I said, we're a week after the event, after your fight, after your first round stoppage over CRISCI. How do you feel just like right now after your fight, and how do you feel you performed on the night?
Yeah, it feels really good. In the moment, I feel like I needed that win. I really needed that. And yeah, it felt good. And, right now, I feel like it motivated me more than ever. It's no time to like slack off and I need to get back in the gym, train more, get better, learn from, even though I won, still things I can learn from, take away from it and put in my next fight. I want to get back in there. And for my performance, I think I always critique myself. I'm like, I'm always looking to get better. So even though I did good in my opinion, I always look back at it and I'm like, man, like I could have called him there. I could have
Mm-hmm.
landed that shot better. I could have, been a little bit more patient and, got a, prettier knockout. But, I think, I'm not going to judge myself too much. It's in the past. So, I think I had a good performance and I'm happy that I won.
You definitely had a good performance. And Christian, even though he wasn't the most technical, he was a dog, and he wasn't afraid. And he was a little awkward. He was coming
Right.
forward. You could tell he watched some Mike Tyson highlights before the fight because he had hands up, move, 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 and he didn't stop trying to pressure you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you looked good, man. You stopped his pressure very well, I'll say. Um, that Mike Tyson pressure that he was trying to do, and I could tell that. Uh, I think you learned after like I'll say half the round, but it looked like it was kind of hard to land those looping shots that you were trying
Right.
to
Yeah.
throw because his hands were up and he's a smaller guy.
Right.
So when he covered his head, his whole head was covered. But I think after like I said, that first half, you realize those straight shots were breaking the
Right.
guard.
Yeah, that's what that's exactly what I, learned from that. So I take away from it. I feel like if I would have just, forget the hooks, the straight shots straight down the pipe or even uppercuts. I've rewatched the fight and I'm like, man, I could have caught him with that uppercut easily.
Hmm.
But, because he was leaning down into it. But yeah, I just like you said, the looping shots weren't it. He had a high guard. He was also leaning forward, so that's why they were missing. So once it started, establish the jab, that's what worked. But I give him all the credit. I think he's a tough fighter. And like you said, not the most technical, but I mean, dude, it's kind of like you can't really discredit that heart. Literally, usually when someone goes down, they reset, they take a second. He went down and just kept coming forward,
Yeah.
and a lot of boxers, like a lot of real boxers know this. Like, it's really, even though, like, of course, like a better boxer's a harder fight, but like those unorthodox, awkward fighters are really like, kind of tough to figure out because, I didn't know if Chris was going to start slow. I don't know if he was going to come running at me. He came charging at me, moving his head a lot. So, I was able to figure it out pretty quick, but like, it's still something that you need to be prepared for and, keep your eyes on it.
100%, man. Yeah, he does. He has that awkward style, and like you said, when you're sparring or fighting or whatever with a newer guy, you'll see the videos like he posted, but you'd never know how he's gonna come out. Like you said,
Yeah.
he could have came out steady and whatever, but yeah, he came out like a freight train. And even though, like you said, it was maybe a little awkward at first, you learned and you shut it down pretty quick. Uh, Before your walkout, so take me 5 minutes before your walkout. They're getting ready. The announcers getting ready. You're standing there just waiting. Do you feel like, and I know we kind of talked about this with the interview me and you did before. If you guys haven't watched that, go watch that. Um, did you feel like maybe the pressure was more than your first fight? Because your
Yeah.
first fight,
So,
it was your first fight and you went against a stronger opponent in AP the fighter. But this was your redemption fight.
right.
You needed this win, as you said.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a perfect question because, a lot of people might not believe me when I say this, but my Brand risk fight It was in front of, hundreds of thousands of people. It was against a lot tougher opponent. But I didn't know what losing felt like at the time. All I had was, confidence. And honestly, like I was just filled with so much adrenaline that for the Brandrisk fight, I wouldn't really say I was nervous. Like I wasn't really nervous. Like I was just confident. I was ready. And, I didn't know what losing felt like. So all I, was ready for was winning. So now with this fight, and it sounds crazy, but I think I was more nervous for this fight than the Brandrisk fight because I knew it. Now I know what losing feels like, and I didn't want to lose again. And I needed this fight. Like if I lost this fight, then it would have been bad. So a win was needed here, and me knowing that, and then I had I'm not gonna say names, but like I had a lot of people saying like like you're gonna win this fight, like you're gonna get him easy, right? And like I'm like all right, like I need this win. Everyone thinks I'm gonna get him out of there very quick. So like now like the Brandrisk fight wasn't really any expectations, but with this fight everyone expected me to win. So I feel like I had to go out there, and like I said on the previous interview with you, I was like, I feel like I gotta go out there and get him out of there in spectacular fashion. So yeah, I would say I was a little more nervous for this fight, getting ready for the walkout.
Yeah, and it probably did add extra pressure, not only knowing that whenever you got scheduled this fight, knowing that Christian wasn't going to be as good as AP, but also everybody on Twitter and YouTube saying Christian's going to, or not Christian, sorry, Vinny's going to dog walk this kid. Like he's going to get him out of there. And even though that could be a confidence booster for you, that also adds extra pressure.
Right.
Because even if you went maybe the full distance with Christian, people could be like, oh, he couldn't even get Christian, whatever. So that does add extra pressure. And I think that when people do taste what loss feels like, even though it's shitty in the moment, that can build somebody to be a better fighter, knowing what that feeling is like and training harder to make sure you don't feel that again.
Yeah, a better fighter and a better person. You learn from your wins and you learn from your losses, and I learned a lot from my last loss, and I took everything I learned and put it into this fight, and everything I learned from my win, I want to put in my next fight and just keep on getting better and better. But, like you said, with people like, oh, like if you went the distance, people have something to say. I feel like people are gonna have something to say, like no matter what. Like I feel like if I lost to Christian, people were gonna talk trash. I beat Christian, and people are still talking trash.
Yeah.
Like, so like no matter what I do, like people are gonna hate no matter what. Chris, if he would have beat me, probably would have got a little bit of hate. Chris lost, he's getting hate. So I even said to Chris after, like I shook his hand in the ring, but then afterwards I was like, dude, look, like I was in a way worse spot than you. I lost in front of a lot more people. I lost, a lot worse than you did, and I came back. So if I did it, you can come back too. So I hope he comes back. I want to see him fight again. I think he's a good kid.
100%. I think we're going to see him back, seeing him post on Twitter and TikTok. He looks like he's rejuvenated to get a win back. He keeps talking about how he's going to be on Breakout 09. And he already knows that we'll have him on 100% because he's a character and he's got that dog in him. And I'm going to interview him also, same thing we're doing. So we'll hear what he has to say and what his future endeavors are. But speaking of future endeavors, what's next for you, man? You just got this win last week. What's next for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not really sure. Like Breakout 09 would be cool. Like I was talking with Josh a lot, and I'm not gonna say anything yet because like I don't know, but I might be, getting talks with him, and like he might be setting up a fight. So whatever Josh thinks is next, I think that'll be the right move. Whether that's Breakout or something else. But I love Breakout. I love meeting a lot of people, including you. Think the media production was great, and like it was a great event all around. So I don't see why I wouldn't fight in July again. But yeah, to answer your question, Breakout. Really, the real answer is like I'm looking to just get back in there within the next couple of months, whether it's Breakout, another promotion, and just keep on fighting, keep on getting better, and keep on winning.
Yeah, man, whether it's, Breakout 9, whether it's a whole different promotion, I just want to see you back. You had a great performance with Christian, and I just want to see you back, whatever, whenever, as long as I get to see it either in real life on Breakout or even at another event while I'm watching on a stream. I'm sure many other people tune into because you did make a statement, and you can tell that you have a lot of potential, and you're starting to show that more and more and more. But thank you so much for hopping on here with me, man. Is there anything else you want to say or whatever? Maybe call out? whatever?
I'm not sure. I don't. I'm more of like a humble guy now. I don't really have any beef with anybody. I'm looking to get back in there. And there's been like some like people on Twitter, talking about fighting. So if someone wants to share the ring with me, I'd be more than happy to get back in there.
You are a humble guy. I noticed that right off the bat. Whenever we started talking, I was like, "Yeah, this is a nice guy. This is a nice guy. He doesn't want to talk trash with people." Which is nice because I do that same thing. I don't like talking trash.
It's
But
just, it's the name of the sport. Let your hands do the talking.
yep.
Talk trash. Something's good for promotion, and I'm sure I'll do it in the future. Talk some trash, but the whole point of it is get in the ring, talk with your hands. Show what you've been working on in the gym, and then afterwards, shake hands like men. And same thing with Chris. Like people want to make fun of him, and I know I've already said this, but like no matter the way he lost, like a lot of people will make that walk to the ring. A lot of people won't get in that ring, and a lot of people won't get up after getting knocked down. And he went against someone who's a lot bigger than him, weighs more than him, and so I think he showed a lot of heart that night.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And he was saying on his little post fight, he's gonna become a boxer. He should know he's already a boxer because he got in that ring and he did what many people will not do or are too afraid to do.
Yeah,
Vinny, thank you so much for hopping on with me
thank you, bro.
and having a little conversation with me after the fight. I know I've told you, but again, congratulations on the win.
Thanks. Thank
I'm
you.
excited to see you back, whether, like I said, it's Breakout or whatever. Thank you so much for hopping on. Everybody, give it together for Vinny Carlson.
Thank you.